everything golden.
Finding your greatest love, your highest adventures, the joy that brings you into the paradise life that you've always wanted to be living. It all starts with you and going deep inside.
Everything golden.
Featuring Francesca Rose and David Starr, where miracles come true every episode. Here are your hosts.
Get ready, get ready, get ready.
Will you tell us the story, like, about the wolves from the beginning?
Yeah, I'll tell you from the beginning. So I had awakened. One morning, it was in the fall. It must have been like late October, and I was with my son. He was little and playing among all the trees, and it was like that magical time when the trees turn silver and gold, and it's just like you've just turned into a whole different world. You've waked up in it. So we were outside in that, and all of a sudden, I could see that everything was composed of light, and I could see the photons in it. And like if I held up my hand, I could see the light in it. And I was like, oh, wow. And it's kind of like that light just carried us for about 30 minutes. And then as soon as it stopped, I thought, okay, I know that that is awakening. Now a teacher will come. So for a few months, I kept thinking, lived on this dirt road. Any day, my teacher will be here now. So then like 2 or 3 months later, I just kept meditating and studying more. My ex-husband asked me if I would like to go see some wolves, that he had a friend who had 2 of them that were looking for a home. Oh, wait, I left out the dream. Let me go there. So like 2 or 3 weeks before I met wolves, I was writing. Nobody was there. And it's like I heard a wolf howling. I mean, it's like it went up my spine like a Kundalini rush. And then they came home and it was all quiet and flat. And I thought, well, I imagined it. Well, then a few hours later, I woke up and I could see through the upstairs window underneath the sycamore trees a giant white wolf with blazing blue eyes, and it was howling. And I couldn't wake up my husband. I couldn't wake anybody up. And here it goes again and again and again. It really terrified me, and that's normal with a totem animal. You can be very attracted or very afraid of them. I'd always been afraid of wolves. But anyway, so like 2 weeks after that, my husband then asked me if I would go see these 2 wolves. And as I said, I'd always been a little panicked about wolves. And so we get there, and it is like I am just attracted to them like a magnet. I just go running up to the fence. I'm touching them through the wire. And I went running up to the guy who had them, and I said, I want to go in the pen. And he's like, have you ever handled wolves? I was like, no. He's like, are you sure? He said, they're pretty wild. I said, I want to go in. I mean, it's like I was willing to climb over the fence to get in. And when I got in, I remember touching the male wolf. And it's like on the outside, his coat was slick. On the inside, it was like the softest down you've ever touched. And once I got there, he jumped up and put his paws on my shoulders and licked me right here. And I said, Lobo, which, means wolf. I said, you can't act that way if you want me to stay with you. I said, you have to behave. So he jumps down and rolls and shows me his belly, which that's submission for a wolf, right? So I pat his belly and I go out, and Maya, the other wolf, came up and she talks to me a little. She makes eye contact, and I go out. So we get home. It's winter, short afternoon. I'm cooking dinner. It's probably about 6 or 7. And the wolf starts talking to me. He shows me how we can go through the woods and get to my house.
Wow.
He tells me, I'm an herbalist. He tells me where a rare herb grows on the mountains. Then he just starts telling me little things about my life. So that's pretty mind-blowing. I did find the herb, and where he told me it was exactly where he said.
Wow.
So they're still with this person. They're still looking for a home. In the meanwhile, the wolf tells me stories that I called the wolf myths, but they're the same thing that's almost in every indigenous story. But the one thing they added was that we came down in a stairway of light, or a wave of light, probably from another universe, and came to Earth, and the wolves came with us. And because of the time period of forgetting on the earth, the wolves came to be our companion and to remember our stories and to tell them to us so we could remember we came here to create and that we were here to make everything wonderful again. So I write down all these stories. Finally, I get a call that they found a home would I like to say goodbye to the wolves. So we go over there and they'd just been loaded up in an SUV and I started to cry because I didn't think I would see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady walks up to me and she said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I've fallen in love with them." And she said, "I know what it is to love a wolf." She said, "I have about 8 or 9 at home. Why don't you follow me home?" So we did. And these are tame hybrid wolves. They come in and out of the house. You're supposed to make them sit before you give them food. And when I go out with them, they're just like all over me. And it's like if they holler, they make a noise that goes through my body. And then they really started talking to me that night again while I'm cooking supper. They like food, so they're very aware of that. Liesel, one of the house wolves, says, "Call Liz and tell her I want oatmeal." Well, that's weird, but I believe her. I'll call. So I tell Liz, and Liz says, "Do you think wolves eat oatmeal?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never had one." And she went like, and kind of hung up. But like 3 or 4 years later, she said she knew then that I really was talking to them because that was her wolf's favorite food.
Wow.
So it was always like that with them. Whatever they told me was absolutely true. They never, ever led me wrong. And very few people are lucky enough to get a guide like that.
That is so cool.
That's 100%.
Well, it takes like your animal spirit guide to a whole other level in their physical aspect, and animals being teachers. And it's amazing how there is also like another part of the story about how they trained you to see orc fields and how they
It's the
see.
energy.
Can you share a little about that?
Sure. So one of the first things that happened is that I'm just sitting there in a room and all the wolves come up and I'm looking at them through the window. And it's like all of a sudden I start to get these visions of what I want. And I'm like, "What's going on, gang?" And they're like, "That's what's in your heart. The only thing that you should ever create that's important is in your heart." And all those things came true. Well, then after they had told me all of their stories, I was becoming pretty sensitive to them, right? So it's like I understood that they would tell me that they liked a person or they didn't like a person, or sometimes people would would bring their wolf and want me to know what their wolf had to say, and they would tell me. So I would tell the person. Well, that was how they were training me psychically to read things as true or false and energetic. But as time went on, what they taught me was to just read energy in general. Like it can be positive, it can be good, it can be high, it can be low, it can be a wave that a lot of people can feel. It can be a wave that shuts off other people. I mean, just 1,000 different things. They even taught me how to drive on the expressway and have other cars pull me energetically wherever I wanted to go.
Wow.
Things like that. Or I would have them with me and I often took them to class with me. I'd get lost, but I'd end up at the person's house somehow.
That is so
So their abilities are just tremendous. But they kept teaching me things like a whole lot of it was rewiring my thinking, because I had this huge garden that had been a pasture. So I had beautiful plants, but weeds everywhere. And I was like, I just hate to go out there and all I ever get to do is pull up weeds. And the wolves sent me a message. Don't see the weeds. Pretend like they're not there, and they went away. It was that easy.
wow.
Are you telling me that the wolves shared with you how to manifest the weeds not being there by focusing
By
on them?
seeing it differently. I heal people like that. I help people with their lives like that. Just seeing it differently.
Wow.
Because
That's
visual is so important, because think about it. If I say to you right now, you left your car keys in the car and the passenger seat, you can't help but see them. And so that's really how we're navigating through life. I expected weeds, so I got them. So it's like if you're behind on something and you don't know how to catch up, you visualize it as done. It's not 100%, but it works. I had a friend who was out of town and she's like, "I don't think I have any gas and I've got 50 more miles to get home. And she said, I don't want to leave the car somewhere. What am I going to do? And I said, we're going to imagine that you're home already. And you said, you don't know how, but you made it home. And I said, I know you've got a gas can at home. And she called me and she said, how did that work? I said, I don't know, but it works.
Yep.
You know,
That's cool. That is so cool. Do you think that that's how your healings work? Because I was talking to David about this yesterday. By seeing everybody in their highest light, then they become that.
yeah.
It reminds me exactly of that.
And there are things to correct. I mean, like if someone is really old and they get sick, the doctors always think, oh my God, they're 90 something. This is the end. So I correct it and make them look like they're 80 in the doctor's eyes and they're just fine.
See,
That is
that's cool.
beautiful. Wow. Holy smokes. This is just like blowing my mind what you're working on here. It's a whole other level of soul work. And so the soul work you're doing for anybody who's tuning into this or watching the YouTube replay, the onetrueself.com
Uh-huh.
is Julia's website, and she has been doing soul work for
A
a
long
decade,
time,
like
20 years or so.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And you can like reach out. She's got a newsletter. She has the Inner Power Connection Summit she does annually every year. It's a fabulous summit, and there's gifts. There's all kinds of gifts she offers when you sign up for the newsletter and the summits and everything. And she's even doing a 9 month class. It seems that we were just talking about that.
Mhm.
It's called the Awakening class. What is that about?
Well, you're
Francesca?
going to get these vibes that I'm talking about, and I hope to teach you to use your imagination, your will, and your thoughts to get yourself to the place that you want to go. And everybody can do it to some degree, but all of us can do more of it. I mean, I'm sure just when I'm talking to you, your imagination is already going like, fix this, fix this, fix this.
Mhm.
Well, it is now. Just no, I was thinking how that is. It's very profound. Placing the visualization and intention
The
into.
other thing is, and we all know this, but it's easier to do for someone else. A lot of people get blocked by other people. So that's something that we work on too.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure.
That's very
So
interesting.
someone's limitations, like if someone is really sick, if I can feel that someone is not seeing them as well, even though they love them or they're afraid to lose them, I'll ask them please not to let that person come in until I can get the other person well. So an
Wow.
example would be like, I don't have this, so it's safe for me to say it. I have a very young dog, he's 2 or 3, but let's say I have a dog that's 14 and I'm worried about his health, but I have someone who thinks that dogs don't live past 14. So if he's at the vet's, I would not tell them that. I might tell someone who had had a dog that lived to be 18. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
so
don't want to engage their beliefs.
that makes so much sense because it's sort of like we have this telepathic communication going on with people. So you could have three people in the room and there's a sick person and one person thinks they're going to get well and one person thinks they're going to die and it's changing that energy in the room.
Right. It changes the vibration. And so that's something that, that I work with too. And then the other thing is just opening up the realms of possibility. Why can't things be so much better than we think they could be?
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. I've never heard anyone else besides you, me, and Neville Goddard speaking of this.
Yeah,
Have you studied Neville Goddard?
absolutely.
Yeah, he's like
He's one of the authors that came my way after I met the wolves. And I found that it's pretty true. I love his story in the beginning about the child who couldn't have a dog. And you heard about the contest on the radio. And so he had heard his grandmother talking to Goddard. So it was to send a picture in or to send something into the radio station. So he won. But not only did he won the kind of dog he wanted, a collie. But because it was promoted, his parents couldn't say no.
yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah.
I think it was from Ask and It Shall Be Given. I've read all of
Hmm.
it. I
That's it.
I study him like every day because I think he's the greatest thought like thinker of all time. Just
I
the
do too.
yeah, like thinking from the end. I do it all the time.
Hmm. But they also taught me that some things just were not possible because they were not written in your heart.
I love that. That is beautiful. I love what you said, that everything important is created in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to take that with me because it's true. Because like when you're creating and you love something, it just flows so easily, and
I
because
know.
it's in your heart instead of just like pushing yourself to do these things you really don't want to do because it's not in your heart and it's not your highest divine path.
And that's something that they really measured people by their heart, how much they were in their heart and how true they were to their heart. And I'm sure the wolves would like you because you're psychic and you're right on, but they were very polite because they were smart enough to know that, they were domestic wolves, so they're very friendly. But they didn't like very many people, not really and truly,
Because
which I
not
always thought
many
was
are
kind
in
of funny.
they're not in their heart. That's why.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That
Well,
makes sense.
it's a lot of the abuse in the planet and mistreating and bullies and it comes down to just the why we are here, and it's to help consciousness improve the way it behaves to other life. Like it's the time of the wars has to end, and
Yeah, it is. It
it's a
has
time
to end.
it has to end, and peace on earth has to come, heaven on earth has to come. It's just humanity's played in this for far too long. I do want to kind of go back with the belief systems and seeing yourself as something, because I stopped believing in the aging process, and birthdays and that we're aging. As I started believing that we could actually go down somewhere around like 4 or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And it seems like you're reversing ages for your clients. And do you do it in your sessions with them?
No, I just do that in my mind because most people wouldn't believe me.
I
There
do
are
it
some
too.
people that will believe me, but like if somebody says, "Oh, I'm getting so old," I'll say, "Well, I wouldn't age myself if I were you."
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's generational. I see that too. Like every generation has a time when they think they're going to age according to society. And I hear people say, "Don't you think I should retire and get some rest?" I'm like, "What are you going to do? Doodle?"
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
But
That's
I mean, I say
fantastic.
that for young people too who have enough money not to work. Why? Why not go and do some good in the world? And if you don't need a salary, donate it.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I absolutely love that you said that's not on the recording, and it's about your awakening class
Mhm.
that you're doing. And you, for anybody who's watching this, this is a 9 month program that you can reach out on her site to ask her about it. But this was
Sure.
a really cool thing you're talking about how you get people in the depth of the actual emotions and expanding the intuitive process from there. Did you want to share any on that?
Sure, I'll be glad to. It's like I think we all know that there's a place that opens up. When it does, it's just the most beautiful place, and the energy is soft and it's divine and it nurtures you. And when you're in a class with about 20 other people and they're all doing it, it's almost like just floating. But we work on chakras. You would get a basis in alchemy, but I don't care if you ever use it or not. Just look at the pictures. Um, we work on manifestation. We work on how you change a thought and a feeling to something else. Because like that's part of changing aging. It's
Hmm.
how you're feeling.
Yep.
So I'm not just changing someone's age. I'm saying, how did they feel instead of at 94? How did they feel at 81? What's a good year? That's what I say. Universe, what's a good year? And then whatever year it gives me, I make them that year in my mind because they're much more vital then. And this works for anything. Let's say you sprain your ankle, but you really like to run. Okay, you probably can't do much with that for, a couple weeks. Let's be realistic. But the whole time you can see yourself as completely recovered and running again, which makes it heal faster.
Yep. But you have to believe it in your mind. That's a key thing. That
Hmm.
because if you don't believe it, then you won't be able to heal it. You
You
have to,
won't manifest it. You'll just hurt it by walking on it and saying, "I'm going to make this work."
yeah.
I mean,
It's
you've got to listen because it's happened, so you'll rest a little. But while you're resting, you can still imagine this incredible recovery.
do you talk to like the body too and see like how long it's going to take to heal?
Yeah, and I'll say we're going to go faster than we think we are. And then I do this exercise every night, and I'll just do a very light version of it. But I start with my feet. First of all, I see like a giant ray of light coming in. And I can feel this huge thing that's not just like sunlight, but like universal and sunlight mixed in together. And I imagine that I can feel it in every molecule of my body. So I'm feeling it in my feet, my ankles, my legs, my hips, the front of my body, my arms, my hands, my neck, my face. Then I'm going to feel that light on the back of my body. And so it's coming in, just pouring into every molecule. Now, here's the reason that I put it in the spaces between the molecules, and that is that we're 70% empty space. So
Wow.
I'm letting that come in, and it's making sort of a grid. And then I'll go through my whole body again. Like, does any part of my foot need more light? It does. I'll focus there. What about my calves or my ankles, knees? And I'll just go through the whole body really slowly. And then I do face and neck and shoulders. And then it's just like your whole aura is filled up with light. And I go to sleep like that.
You
That's
have
genius.
very high advanced like healing with light and clearing and healing the voids of self.
Well, I
Advance.
had
What
some great teachers.
yeah, is on your journey.
Well, the
Um,
wolves, because like if I couldn't get in touch with someone and I was frustrated and I sat down to meditate with them, think of like 10 wolves all sending their thoughts to someone and then pulling it into your field.
that's amazing. They have collective thought
Hmm. Yeah, they
healing.
had to all work so hard to get me to hear them in the beginning. Like I would
Wow.
talk to the alpha wolf, but all the rest would sit there and lie there and look at me and send the thoughts that the alpha was sending to me.
Wow. That is completely amazing. It really is.
And
And
they amplify your energy field. So one thing that I try to do in class and I try to do for myself is to amp up. Like they loved like a bluish, purplish light. And so I would just say, come on in light, come on in wolves, come on up, up, up. And then when I feel it up, I project.
Wow, that is insane. Do you think that without physically meeting wolves, do you think that we could call in the wolf energy
Mhm.
or call in
Well, you
whatever
just felt it.
totem? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm already,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sure you
already,
could.
I'm
like
already feeling it. Like
like
I'm calling them in as
there
you do
literally
it.
is like some things that masters have told me and that the wolves are telling her like these must be master they must be at such a consciousness with where they're in that higher awareness as
Well, they
wolves.
are. They came here with us when we were freaking perfect.
Yeah.
We could manifest anything and they remember it. And they're
Wow.
trying to put us back together. They're just sure that we can put the planet back together and we can all live in harmony. So as soon as you can get into that vibe, they're going to amp you up.
So we should be connecting to the wolf collective consciousness.
Mhm.
I'm going
I would
to.
just imagine like 30 or 40 of them amping you up,
Here I
sending
am
it to you.
like thinking that it's dolphins and whales I'm supposed to be chatting
No,
with
they all
actually.
do the same thing. Every full moon, the dolphins, the whales, the wolves, and the coyotes all sing a song of creation on the full moon. And they just blast that out because they are so determined that we're going to save ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
I
See,
know we are.
I see
Yeah.
it. I've saw it. We do. There is world
Well,
peace in my lifetime. I've seen it since I was a little girl. So we have to hold that thought as a collective, and then we'll
yeah.
change.
Like I say, whales, the water's clean. Dolphins, the water is so crystal clean. Dolphins like to play with people. So they're getting people to play with. Wolves, we feel you and respect you all over the world. And I think for most of us who have the wolf totem, they have probably shown up or at least been there when we've gone through initiations of our soul.
Wow.
And they picked up on
Hold
it
on.
psychically.
Have the wolves ever shared with you anything about dreams? And because it seems like you are working with your clients with their dreams and you know how to manifest and read books by putting them under your pillow. We were talking about this before we came on, actually, and this is why it's kind of like I'm just getting this feeling that like you might have had
Yeah.
some insight with that with the wolves
When
too.
you live with a wolf, they bond with you so closely that like at night you can feel your hearts beat together. And
Oh,
then after a while they dream with you. They dream with you every single night. And if you run with them on a leash, it's like flying. They just carry you.
oh my God. I want a wolf. I want one for my house.
Yeah, you want a hybrid wolf. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
But I mean, I never knew that I would like be able to sleep in the room with a wolf and feel our hearts beating together, or that they would just start to appear in my dreams every night. But yeah, I think they definitely accelerated the dreaming process for me.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll dream that I've just already done all my clients and I'll wake up and then the readings will go exactly the way I dreamed them.
That is so cool.
But then it's so easy because you already know all the answers before you start.
Isn't
Yeah.
that fascinating? I actually do feel like with my sessions and stuff, it's mostly pre-planned. I've always had this feeling like it just everything's orchestrated in the higher realms, and the physical meeting is just a byproduct of something that you've already gone over and worked through, and is this
Yeah.
the magical moment that you already experienced in the higher realm.
Yeah. And the other cool thing about wolves is when you're outside with them, it's like your perception of nature is like 10 or 20 times what it normally is.
That's so nice.
And does
It's
that
just,
mean like with seeing the elementals and the fairies and the
yeah,
like the
no,
little
they never went into that. But I will say this, like being outside with them, I could feel things that were going on in the earth. I could hear noises for a much longer distance. I was
wow,
really aware, like if the wind went through the trees.
I
that's
love that.
fascinating.
Yeah. Did they really hype up your senses? And this is one thing I tell people in class. You're not more sensitive. You're just awake enough now to hear what your body and your emotions have been trying to tell you all along.
That makes so much sense. That is so cool. I already feel them. Like I felt like you called them in for
I
us, and
did. I
like
did.
I feel like so trippy because like
I know.
I feel their energy. I'm like I'm on
It's like
another.
woo, woo, woo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like on another level right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And a friend of mine who had a wolf sanctuary, I mean, this is how much they know. If I called her, they were a good distance from her house, but they would all start howling. They knew I was on the phone.
No way. That is so cool.
Your sessions must be just so amazing. I've always
Well,
loved people who have like amazing third eyes that can see like all of the fine energies. And as somebody who um I'm, I wouldn't say that I can see at the level when I'm tuning in, I'm tuning into chakras and stuff, but you likely see every vibrational frequency of their aura field, and that would help out a client so much.
I
Ex
see what I'm supposed to see. So, like, if someone is really impacted by something bad that happened in their childhood, I'll see that. If someone is really tired and they say, "Oh, no, I'm fine," I'll see how they lost all their energy and with whom. So it kind of fills in like that. If someone's ready to go to a higher level, I might get lifetimes when they did really well so they could use those energies again. I
Mhm.
might see something mild that they could change with their body, that kind of thing.
That's
It's just what they need.
yeah.
mhm.
But I do have someone who's in class, and we were both talking about gardening and how much we loved it. And we could both feel the whole planet go like boom, boom, boom. Like this wonderful green energy just came over both of us simultaneously.
I love that. I feel like that a lot when we think it, like, and we just really feel into it when we're in tune. Like, you're definitely like a collective channel. Like, you're just like so plugged in. And when you're plugged in like that, you can just feel like everything, like from everywhere.
Yeah, I love it in the morning before other people have waked up.
Yeah, it's
Do you
much
watch
more peaceful.
do you watch the sunrise in the morning?
I'm really weird because I don't like this, I'm a night person, but I still get up right before the sun comes up so I can see it. I figure I can always take a nap. But the oxygen comes off the trees, I think like, I don't know, 17 minutes before the sun comes up.
Mhm.
And that's when the birds start chirping. And I just think that's amazing. I want to see that every day for the rest of my life if I can.
Wow, that's
Beautiful.
dedication there.
Well, it wakes me up. It's like, come and see me. If I'm really tired, it doesn't happen. I'll sleep until 9 and all my animals are going crazy. Like, we've been yelling at her for 30 minutes. She won't wake up. But if I'm supposed to hear it, it's like at 6:30 on the dot.
Oh, 6:30. I'm up at 5. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna go outside of the gym at 6:30 and start like getting that energy. That sounds like so beautiful, like birds chirping and it's like Cinderella.
Oh, I mean, I just sit on the deck and it's like there are woods right behind where I live. And it's like, if I say that sounds so beautiful, I'm so glad to hear you this morning, they'll talk more, the birds will.
That's so cute.
But I think nature really responds to all of us all the time. We just have forgotten to notice it. Because like if I'm walking with a friend, I'll say, "Did you hear that bird?" They'll say, "What bird?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
One of my favorite moments actually in the let's get us all three on here. One of my favorite moments, and if you want to call it like a moon ritual, or was with the Mitchell Hedges skull, and it has these special records, and it actually brought us back to the time and of when there was a version of humans and complete this love-based reality on Earth, and it seemed like this pillar of light was in every household that was in nature, and it was like this god-like pillar, and it was this huge vibrancy of love, but it was like in love, and this is when I first became aware of in love consciousness, and it was so infectious, and everybody was literally in love with all of the plants, all of the animals, all of the people. There wasn't this polarity that it was just pure. They're in love with their life, with this, with their unions. It's just a higher level of union love. But everything is in love consciousness, being in
Without even
love.
necessarily knowing it.
Hmm.
It's just this most beautiful relationship,
Yeah.
and that actually gave me so much motivation to like an inspiration to continue and do as much as I possibly can to it, because I want that everything to go back to that. It's just
I
like,
do
oh my God.
too. It's like people say, well, you don't have to work as hard as you do. I'm like, yeah, I do, because it's a pivotal point in time. I don't have any choice right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
we've got to
special.
share what we've got and the light we've got, and whoever it inspires, it helps.
Exactly. And I know that people listening that are going to really feel this and be curious to book with you. And so if you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the audio podcasts, in the description, I'm going to put Julia's website because it's easy. It is onetrueself.com, but I'll put it in the description as well. And then you can just reach out to her, hit the contact,
Yeah.
and just fill in your information to reach out for her. So she's just such a special, amazing woman, as you can hear from this
Well, plus it's
story.
just so much more fun than how most people live.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to change the picture. Zip.
Definitely. Like you live a much cooler life. You're like me. We think outside of the box and we're
Yeah.
having fun with creation and, trying new things and new spiritual practices and new creational, like cool things.
Well, I think it's the way that we get rid of perception blocks.
Hmm.
And then we could substitute in the creativity and the imagination.
Yeah. You have to do the work. And do you teach that in your class, how they can do
Mhm.
like inner child healing, shadow work, all that?
And to realize that when we get into these problems or we get neurotic or nervous or insecure, just one part of us. We have many different parts of ourselves that aren't integrated yet. So if you can send love and light and healing to that part of you that's experiencing the trauma or the upset, it gets quiet. That's all it wanted was energy.
So send that to all dimensions of self.
Mhm.
How would you word it?
Well, what I say is, let's say I'm feeling nervous or insecure. I'll say, but there's a part of me that really wants to do this. And then I've got this part of me that's getting all nervous and insecure. And then I'll go like, hey, but that's just one part of me that hasn't integrated yet.
I love
So
that.
so I thank it for coming up. I'll say thank you for showing me that I still need to work on this. So I send love and light to it, and I send healing to it. And then usually in a few hours, I'll see a different way of how I can work with that. Like, okay, I'm going to start substituting different pictures 3 or 4 hours before I know this will come up.
I love the integrating piece because, everybody's trying to transmute everything out, but like we've went through this process. We're like superheroes here, all that we've went through. So we shouldn't want to like get rid of it. We should want to integrate what we've learned and turn it into a higher light. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, just like
Yeah,
transform
like the
that
year when I
energy.
was 12, just for whatever reason, was a really hard year. And I didn't think anything would ever change. And I remember one summer my parents would sit inside, it's so hot near Savannah, and all they would do, everybody just sit there in the air conditioning. And I thought, I can't go on like this anymore. And I'd gotten a horse for my birthday. And I said, I'll learn to ride the horse. I don't care how hot it is. So every night I did that for like an hour or 2 hours. By the end of the summer, I could ride so well. And I could just go places and leave my family and explore things. But I had to go through a whole lot of integrating that 12-year-old in me before I remembered how I got out of it, which was doing something that I wasn't good at that scared me, but ended up making me really happy. So that's what can happen if you start trying to integrate it as opposed to getting rid of it.
Love that. We have to integrate everything that we've ever been through. I've been working on that too. So you're the only other one I've been that I've heard talking about it. So it's so cool to hear like your point of view on it. So
Well,
interesting.
I've tried everything else.
Yeah,
I as well just
exactly.
love that part of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really
You know, when
neat
you,
how you learned all this at such a young age. You got to take all of that wisdom throughout your teenager years and your early adult years for probably many things, aligning with caring, compassionate friends,
yeah,
and having some pretty amazing adventures, I bet.
I did, and parts of it were super hard because I didn't fit, but that's okay. That's some of the time that I became an herbalist and I studied different ways of actually healing physically. But then later on, I figured out that the whole reason, because the wolves wanted me to really study herbs more, well, it's because of their energy. If you study like Chinese herbs, they all have a different frequency. Some are hot, some are cold, some are heavy, some are light. And that's what they were using that to help me define energy.
That makes sense because we did this tea ceremony with this guy named Gary out in Shasta, and he's using all these ancient Chinese teas, and they all was really pushing up our frequency as
Yeah,
as a group. Do you
right.
do do you still do you do anything with herbs with clients, or is it just
Not with clients. I grow them
yourself?
I grow them for myself, yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
use
too
them on
much
my
work,
hair.
right?
That's awesome.
Well, it looks fabulous.
Good.
So it's
I
working.
mean, okay.
Yeah, that's
That
good.
was just too funny to leave out.
Yeah,
But I've just
exactly.
studied tons of things. My mother was a geologist, so I know a lot of geology. My father was a farmer, so I know a lot about soil and trees and crops. And then it was like the further I got up spiritually, the more it all came together. I could
That
see
is
how
so cool.
related everything was. And then I'd studied astrology on my own.
Oh yes, astrology. That's
Love astrology.
the fun month that we're coming into right now. These with these it was a triple retrograde. Is that
Right.
it's definitely been having some technological challenges for many.
I just say, hey, it is what it is. I'll get through
Yeah,
today.
I think it makes
yeah.
things more fun when it's retrograde because we never know what's going to happen. Anything could go better or haywire. Who knows?
I
It's
know. And it kind of
part of the
turns
fun.
off that American push, push, push.
Yeah. I live in
Yeah.
South Carolina. We don't know anything about that.
I
We're on
agree.
a we're on a
No,
different frequency here.
I'm laughing because I told a client to move from like a hub on the West Coast to South Carolina. My mother lived there. I said, it's so slow. You will be so happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Everything's,
funny.
I call it beach time. It's just totally chill here and nobody rushes. We just even when it was COVID time, we weren't even wearing masks. We were still going out to eat. Everybody was just like whatever.
South Carolina is like it's just I don't know, like it's still 1980 there or something.
It is. It is. It really is. It's just like its own little time warp place. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's like a little, I'm in like a little bubble of heaven. The Notebook, the movie was filmed where I live. So everything here is like little like romantical scenes and just like everybody's super nice. And
they
my,
are.
yeah.
They
And my
really
children have
are.
been nowhere else, and they have no idea that this isn't the way the rest of the world is, but that's okay because the rest of the world will eventually catch
Catch
up
on.
and be like it, or everybody
Mhm.
will move here. Like that's what's happening. So many people are they're catching on to our little piece of heaven.
Yeah.
Well, you can't keep it a secret forever, Francesca.
Well, it isn't
No.
anymore.
You gotta leave some tranquility for the rest of the world. We're coming.
The
But we
cat's
have to
out of the
keep our
bag.
secrets too. I mean, no
Yes.
matter how much we tell, I can't tell you everything, and neither can you with me because it's
Yeah.
for the public.
Yeah, that's right. Well, speaking of secrets that we can tell,
Okay.
and how everything golden is helping to just get everybody into that golden era, new earth energy. Is there one simple tool that you would recommend for people to how they can help their inner self?
Sure. You can ask yourself, what is your inner self? And that's all the very best times of your life. The things that were the happiest, the things that made you feel most alive, the times when you felt most loved, the times when you felt most connected with nature. And you can ask yourself, how does that part of me work? How does it create those things and how can I get there? And then the other thing is for about a year before I actually woke up, I would say to myself, like every time I looked at the clock, awake, wake up, awaken. And it worked.
I love that.
My
That's
little inner
so
child
cool.
was doing this happy dance while you're talking there, and it's like I remember all those moments.
Yeah. Well, remembering them is really good though, because it pulls the vibration and the frequency into the present moment.
It's
So
so
smart.
wild you're saying this because yesterday my kids were making me do cartwheels and I remembered my child self again doing the cartwheels and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in this energy and feel the energy of when I was a child. And that's exactly basically what you're saying here. I'm like, this is spooky. Like you're saying everything that like I was going through yesterday and today.
Well, the universe helps us with it, but it's also ourself that moves into all that beauty. And if someone is there with us, like your children, they're part of that. You're creating it together. And that's why those are such treasured memories.
This
Oh yeah.
is also going to create a lot of bliss if you think about these moments. It's like a joy stacking, and it releases the endorphins, and so
Yeah,
um,
I mean that's actually
mhm.
one of my exercises from class is that you do that as often as you can because biofeedback is proven. When we pull up those memories, our entire being goes back into that state.
It's just exceptional. I actually have something that is not quite the same, but it's similar, and what you're talking about is it just feels like when people connect with you, they're going to go through this like deep self-love, complete inner transformation. Like it's just it feels like soul work mastery. So I'm
Mm.
super excited for the audience to see you and hear what you're saying because only somebody who is at such a true masterly level, and but this is like a true teacher of love and the new human, the new way that we can be. And she got taught by the
Wolves.
wolves, and it's
It's
just
so
you
cool.
cannot make that up. It's just too
No.
amazing. And this is like I was so excited when Julia said she'll come on the show because I'm so
Me
excited for
too.
people to hear this story with the
Oh, I
wolves.
love them. They have great energy. But it's like, everybody says love yourself. It's way easier to love yourself by pulling up those memories because you're in a place of love just by pulling them up.
Mhm.
You have to go around saying, I love myself. There's nothing the matter with that, but it's way easier to do it the other way because you're feeling the universal connection. So anyway, those are the kind of exercises people learn in awakening class.
That's so cool. I love
I'm
that.
so excited for all the people that are going to go to your classes and experience this. I'm not sure if you've checked out one of the podcasts before, but we have this little thing that we do called rapid fire questions. It's kind of silly little questions, and you just
Yeah, go ahead. If that's what you're asking me, will I do
yep.
it? Sure, go ahead.
All right. So I don't know, Fran, do you have some?
I have some.
Fran always goes first, it seems. So go ahead.
Okay, well, she should.
Ladies
She's the
first.
lady.
Yes.
All right. Dance with wolves or party with friends?
Oh, dance with wolves anytime. They are my friends.
I knew you were going to say that.
Actually, one of my favorite movies, Dancing with Wolves
I
with Kevin
know, it's
Costner.
amazing.
So good.
I don't remember it, but I know I saw it when I was really, really young. I have to watch it again.
I think it was his best movie. Sure of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you think that AI is a help or a hindrance to awakening?
I think it depends on whose hands it's in. I have a little bit of reserve because I know it uses a tremendous amount of energy and water. I also think that it keeps people from using their imagination. Um, it may be very helpful for people who have learning disabilities.
That's
I
true.
think I've tried putting my stuff into it and I'm like, oh, it's gobbledygook. It doesn't come from the heart. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, I can definitely tell that AI has a different voice. Like, and I know when people are using it in
Me too.
in their work because it's a different voice than their voice, and it has a voice. So I think it has its own frequency and energy.
I think it has a place, but I don't think we need to have
Yeah,
it everywhere.
yeah, true, true. What is the most enlightened thing that you do on a daily basis?
Well, and listen to nature, like I told you when I first wake up, because it's just such a wonderful thing to me to feel the whole world and the earth wake up. And it reminds me what an amazing planet we're on. And then from there, it's like my heart opens and I meditate and I can feel the universe and the divine come into me and light me up. And I always go like, oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're there.
I love that. That's very deep. Has a tarot card ever called you out so bad that you reshuffled the deck and pretended it never happened?
Okay, I have a problem with divination devices because
Uh-huh.
whatever I'm thinking is what they'll show me. So
Yeah,
those don't work anymore for me. I did have that in the past. The interesting thing is I would do a reading and you know how when you're supposed to stop using them, but you keep doing
yeah,
it, you keep getting more or less the same reading.
yeah.
And a friend of mine and I were clearing each other and I went back. And so I decided I'll just do another reading. I'm sure it'll say the same thing. It was something completely different. So you can clear yourself so the reading changes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't use cards either. I just read people, but I like to play with cards for myself because I think that the hardest person to read is yourself.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's way easier to do other
That
people.
was what was so great about the wolves. They would just tell me everything about myself.
I'm connecting. I'm gonna stay connected. I feel connected to the wolves right now, but I'm gonna start. I'm gonna test out your theories. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go in and try to connect and see if I can get them to give me some inside information too.
Make it simple. Like if I were going to change one thing, what should it be?
Okay, I'll write that down. All right,
Or
I'll
what
make.
would you like me to do now that I'm not doing? Or what would you like me to see that I'm not seeing? Things
Oh
like
my gosh, I said that today to God. I said, what would you like me to do?" That is so crazy. Like that is such a crazy sync. Um, Uh, what is your quickest way to align with God within?
if I'm having a bad day, I send pink light to myself, which is love. And I say, universe, separate me from mass subconscious mind and emotion and reconnect me with my inner self. And usually about the third time I say it, it will happen.
I love that.
It's really quick.
Yeah, I think that's people think that spirituality has to be so complicated and take time, but you can literally do stuff like that in 5 seconds. Because people are
Yeah.
always like, I don't have time, I don't have time. Yes, you do. You have time to send the pink light real quick.
Or if I'm writing and I can't get it right and I'm running out of time, I'm like, Please connect me to my inner self and inspire me now.
I love that. I love that.
But it does work.
Yeah. You just have to believe.
Yeah. Well, practice. I
Mm,
mean, I did see it pretty much constantly going through a difficult time. But then once I got through the difficult time, I found I could say it like twice and I was reconnected.
I
But
love
that
that.
was, like 10 years ago. Everything is so much faster now. Everybody's so lucky who's waking up because it's not
Yeah.
as dense.
Well, the Earth is rotating
Mhm.
faster, and the weird thing is, I saw it on a mission that it was starting to rotate faster, and then all of a sudden, they announced it. Somebody announced it. Like you're reading, scientists have announced. It's just like, stop talking about these mysterious scientist announcements.
It makes
uh,
sense though, because I noticed the sunlight was in different places in the garden, and I thought, well, that's weird.
isn't
So
that
yeah,
neat?
it's rotating faster. Yeah,
Frequencies going higher.
yeah.
You got some more questions, Ren?
I just have one more. Who was your greatest inspiration? And it doesn't have to be like a family member. It can be like someone from a book, anyone like with your spiritual journey. Who do you think inspired you the most?
Actually, it was my grandfather who was blind. He was older when he had my mother and her and my uncle, but he had been blinded when he was 14, and he was nearly illiterate. But they sent him to the Philadelphia School for the Blind. They were
Wow.
going to send him home because he wouldn't learn Braille. And they told him they'd teach him how to make brooms and tune pianos, and he got mad. And so that night he learned Braille. He read all of David Copperfield till the skin was off his hands. So obviously he stayed. Then a couple years later, a Catholic priest taught him 4 years of Latin in 3 months. So he said being blinded was the best thing that ever happened to him because he found out he was brilliant. He became a
Wow.
lawyer. He did everything that was done in David Copperfield. He sold books to pay for his tuition in college. He became a lawyer, a state rep, a state senator, and then he was the chairman of the Public Service Commission. And he could pretty much get around like a sighted person. But he would always say, being blinded was the best damn thing that ever happened to me.
That's
That's
wow.
incredible. What an
And he taught
inspiration.
me about all that when I was really small. He taught me, about the Latin speakers, and he would read me encyclopedias, and he would talk to me. And because he could walk just fine, we'd go out in the night and go walk around and see trees and the patio and things. And he was always happy, and he never ever complained.
That's
Just that was amazing. So I had him, until I was 12. And I can remember the first time I really talked to him, I was out in the yard and it was winter and he took my hand and he said, Julia, we just get along, don't we? And I said, Papa, we're in simpatico. And I'd never heard of the word, but it just went through me and I knew it was right.
Aw, that's so awesome.
But it was being around someone who had a disability and made more of his life because of that.
Yeah,
There
that
was no victim consciousness whatsoever.
I'm sure he saw things way differently than we see them, and it gave him a like cooler point of view and a cooler way of doing things.
But he could also visualize because was sighted until he was 12. So he used to always ask me to be his eyes. So that's partially how I memorized so many things visually
That's so
and
cool.
describe them in such detail. Because, we begin by saying, well, there are two or three trees there. I can't see them. Tell me how they look.
That makes you a better writer for sure. Do you write
Mhm.
books?
Do I write books? No, I haven't. I'm still finishing up one about the wolves. But it
That,
makes me like, to me, it's never just a tree.
yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm sure I'll read your book for sure. And you should do a book about all your these different visualization things that you do in the morning, like your spiritual practices are unbelievable. I think the world would benefit
I think
from
it's
them.
very natural. If we could all just
Yeah,
let ourselves go into that, it's something we probably would have done naturally anyway.
yeah, but not a lot of people do it.
No, but they would.
Yeah.
This is why you got to check out Julia's Awakening class.
Yeah, for
All right,
sure.
so I got some questions. They're not
Okay.
as so serious, but if your aura had a smell, what would it smell like?
The power of that blue and purple color that the wolves have.
Nice. If your pineal gland had a voice, what celebrity would it sound like? Morgan Freeman, Gilbert Gottfried, Cardi B?
I think it would sound more like a fairy or a nature spirit because that's so much of what I perceive through my third eye. Yeah, Francesca knows what I'm
good.
saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. You're offered unlimited divine wisdom in the form of dad jokes. Would you
Of what? No, what form do I get them in?
you get them in forms of dad jokes?
Okay.
Do you think you would still ascend?
I would probably do anything to ascend.
You can tell it to me in dad jokes if you want.
I mean, even if I don't like it, because there are always parts we don't like of it that you still have to do, and you just have to be good humored about it and keep going up.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can tell you've gone up a lot, that's for sure. An angel appears,
Hmm.
hands you a scroll. What is the secret message?
The time is now. We all know that one.
Your inner child creates a game show. What's it
Mhm.
called?
Making stiff people have fun. Uptight people have fun.
Maybe like what was that show where they all of a sudden like slime would fall on people and like something like where people it was like a game show and I can't remember. It was like in the 80s, I think.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
Oh, and just push them past being stuck and making them have fun.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Turn everything into a party
Yeah.
while we're here. That's what I try to do too.
Mm.
So we got Yeshua, Yoda, and Beyonce showing up in your dream, and they challenge you to a dance-off. What is your signature move?
Hmm. I think I'd jump up in the air and twirl my arms, and we'll see what happens when I come down.
Perfect. That's perfect. Well, it's been super amazing, Julia, having you on. Everybody, Julia Griffin, just an
Thank you
amazing.
so much for having me.
This was so much fun. I could talk to you forever, literally.
I think we need to encourage people to have fun. Yes, there are parts of this process that for all of us we don't like, but it's better than the alternative, which is staying very, very small.
Yeah.
And but there's also a fun side. It's like if you're with someone else and you're all seeing the same thing about the person at the same time. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's why they
Or
need
you
to
all-
take a
you know,
class.
you-
That would be fun to channel with you. I would love
Right.
to do that, like channel with everybody in the class and see if everybody sees the same thing.
Mhm. Or we're gonna have dinner, but we don't know what it is, but we all get the same vision at the same time. It's just delightful.
Yeah, love stuff like that. Right up my alley.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that happens in the community.
Psychic
When you
games.
think of somebody, they just know it, and
Mhm.
and the empathic, the consciousness of people's energies can traverse just anywhere now, and so when someone's energy is coming around, you know that too, and then when they're being naughty, you know that too.
Yeah, but
And
sometimes
so,
things you don't want to know. Bye.
yeah, sending the energy away. Bad, very bad, very bad, very bad. But it's an interesting thing, this awakening journey.
It is. It's more interesting than anything else that's going on at the moment. I call it the best game in town myself.
That's
Yeah, it sounds
spiritual
fun.
news. It's intuitive.
Well, thank you so much this
Thank
day.
you.
It was lovely being with you.
You too.
Yes,
Thank
this was
you,
awesome.
Alien. We'll say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And
Bye.
we'll put
I am
all
going
Julie's
on me.
all right, perfect.
Everything golden.
Finding your greatest love, your highest adventures, the joy that brings you into the paradise life that you've always wanted to be living. It all starts with you and going deep inside.
Everything golden.
Featuring Francesca Rose and David Starr, where miracles come true every episode.